So in this experiment, we are going to look at the proportion of air that is used up in rusting. So what we're going to do is put some distilled water inside a glass tube, and then we are going to put some iron filings in, turn this around so I get the inside all nice and coated in iron filings. And then what we're going to do is then stand this into a trough of water, and we are going to measure the level of water. Well, we're going to look at the edge of the level of the water against the tube at the start, and I'm going to move my elastic band to use that as a marker. And then we're going to leave this for a week, and we will then come back and see if the level has changed. To make this a fair test, I've got a second tube here, and this is going to sit here without any iron filings in so that we can observe any differences. So if I pop that one in to start with, then that one can all be ready. Okay, I need to take the bung out to start with. So you might have noticed the water level kind of pinging there. So the water level's down there, so we can now put the bung in. So, whoops, that's a fair test there. So let me just get that, and I'm just going to do that again as I moved it a bit. Right, the bung's in there now. I'm going to move the elastic band on that one down so that we can see where the water level is in the tube. So it's just there. So we'll measure from that point next time. So now I'm going to fill this with some water, so all the inside's going to be wet. Pour that out. And then I have my iron filings here, so I'm going to shovel some of these into the tubing. So put a good number of these. I'll collect the ones that fall out in a minute. And then if I rotate this around, because the inside's nice and wet, can we see it's all kind of just sticking to the sides there? Okay, and then when I turn this upside down, any ones that are still loose will just fall to the bottom of the trough there. Let's put a bit extra in just for good measure. Okay, so we've got plenty of iron in there. So I'm now going to stand this one upright just like I did with the other one. So we'll clamp this one into position. Okay, I release the bung, there we go, so that the water can ping to its natural level. Otherwise we were kind of forcing out by the fact that there was no escape for the air in there. Just loosen this so it's a bit more vertical. There we go. And then in the same way again, I'm just going to move my elastic band down to indicate the water level there. And so what we'll do is then when we come back in a week's time, so there'll be a pause in the video and then I'll add that on, we'll come back and have a look at this in a week's time and see if we can notice anything about the water level, and then we can think about what information that gives us about the amount of air that's being used up. So our iron filings in our tube have been left for a week there, and if we come up here and look closely, you should be able to see that the water level is now here. So when we left these, the rubber band was marking the water level, and now it's risen up here. And if we have a look at our control over here, the water level hasn't changed, so it's still at the level of the rubber bands there. So what we then need to do is work out how much of the air has been used up here. So as our iron reacted, it took out part of the air, so you can think about which gas has been removed, and so the water level had to rise to take the place of that gas. So what we need to do, and I'll put these results onto a photograph in a second, so that'll be the next thing in your video here. What we need to do is measure the distance from the rubber band to the top of the tubing, So that's going to indicate the total amount of air in before we left our iron to rust here. And then I'm going to measure the distance from the water level now to the top of the tubing, and that's going to indicate how much air is left. And then you can answer your questions with those values.